G'day guys, we are back with an update to our Evocation Gale. Now this is a end game version, so you most likely won't be able to achieve this early on. This is very much for a end game respec. It is also taking in the assumption that you are playing Gale as the main character. Although you can obviously play the custom characters as your main and have Gale as a sidekick, we are using some very powerful items on Gale. So let's get started. First things first, we want the evocation cantrips, Ray of Frost, Shocking Grasp, and Firebolt. Spells, we are going to want Witch Bolt, Thunder Wave, Shield, Protection from Good and Evil, Burning Hands, Chromatic Orb. Now, as we go through this video, I'm going to be selecting spells that are not entirely needed for the build. They're just some quality of life stuff I will choose. Once we get to the end of the build, I will show you what spells to equip and have ready for combat. We'll also have a little display of combat at the end. Now, the ability scores, I'm going with 15 Strength, 8 Dex, 8 Constitution, 17 Intellect, and 16 Wisdom with an 8 on the Charisma. Now, Strength, that is simply there so we can carry a bit more stuff. We have extra points, so we are using them. Wisdom is there so we can survive a lot of wisdom saving throws. Obviously, Intellect is important. We are a wizard after all. Dex and Constitution are so low because of the items we are going to be using. Continue on to the build process. Second level will be in the wizard class as well. We are going to be choosing Evocation for the ability to not hurt our allies with our evocation spells. This is going to be very important because we are going to be using a lot of AoE spells. We're going to be setting the world on fire, on ice, and zapping it. Alright, moving on to our spells. Nothing we really need on this one. We are going to go with Magic Missiles, and I'm going to go with Longstrider as a utility. Magic Missiles, 100%. Just always get it. I mean, it's a handy skill to have. We aren't going to be using it a lot, but it is going to be one of our main skills. I'm going to skip through prepared skills until the last level, and I'll show you what to equip. Level 3, again, we are going Wizard. This level, we are going to go ahead and get Mirror Image and Misty Step. Both going to be used in our build, both very important. We have our traversal skill with the Misty Step and additional armor with the Mirror Image. Continuing on. Level 4 is when we get our first feat. With the cantrip, I usually go light just because of its utility. With the spells, not really anything that we 100% need here. So just pick whatever you want. I usually like to go some utility. So I'm just going to go Enhanced Leap. And we'll chuck Shatter on there. Why not? Spared spells. We'll get to that later. On our feet, we want Warcaster. One of the most important spells for this build, feats, is you can use a reaction to cast Shocking Grasp at a target moving out of melee range, and Warcaster Concentration. You have advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on spells. Very, very good because we're going to be using a lot of concentration spells, primarily Haste. Level 5. Level 5, we are going to switch things up. We're going to go over to Fighter. And as a fighter, we get Second Wind that allows us to heal ourselves as a bonus action. We are going to choose the Defense fighting style, giving us an additional armor class while wearing armor. It also allows us to use medium armor, which we're going to be using for this build. Taking the level 6 as another fighter level, we get Action Surge. Immediately gain an extra action to use this turn. And obviously this is very, very useful, pretty much for any character. Continuing on, we are going to go back to the wizard. There it is, back to the wizard. We're going to choose our next lot of spells. We are going to get Counterspell straight away. That is going to be one of our primary skills. We are also going to grab Fireball. Now again, this is an end game build. It doesn't matter what order you take these in as long as you grab them. Haste will be on the block next. Going up to level 6, we get our first subclass addition. Your cantrip becomes harder to invade entirely. When a creature succeeds at saving through it against one of your cantrips, it still takes half the cantrip damage, but suffers no additional effect. Which is great, because you get to chuck around your little fire spell, or your ice spell, your lightning spell, whatever you're using for the cantrip. I do believe that also affects the Shocking Grasp when someone is moving out with a reaction attack. Next up, we are going to grab Haste. Important one there. Everything else here, kind of not that important. You feel free to choose what you want. I'm going to go ahead and get Gaseous Form. Continuing on. Level 9 Gale, level 7 Wizard. Our next lot of spells is going to be Ice Storm. That is our next big upgrade on spells, as well as Firewall. Incredibly powerful. Both incredibly powerful spells. Accepting that. We're now a level 10. And we are going to grab... yeah, there's not really anything we need, so these will be utility. Whatever you really want, go ahead and grab it. I'm going to grab Dimension Door and let's say Greater Fly. That will be helpful. With our feat, we are going to want to get Ability Improvement. That brings us up to 19 or 20, assuming we are using Gale as our main character. Boom. Level 11. Nothing really we need 100%. So again, pick what you want. I generally go utilities. Continuing on. Now at level 10 of Wizard and level 12, our final level, I will now show you the prepared spells, by the way. We get Empowered Evocation. Your grasp of evocation magic has tightened, and you can add your intelligence modifier to damage rolls with any evocation spell. A massive boost in power. Lovely to have. Cantrip doesn't matter. I usually go Mage Hand. Just why not? And again, the spells don't really matter. We already really have everything we need. I'm just going to go Fire Shield and let's say Gust of Wind. Sure, why not? Now, over to our prepared spells. Let's get rid of all of these. And we're going to show you from the start. Now, some of these spells I have acquired through scrolls. For example, Cone of Cold will be one of our major damage dealers. I did acquire that through a scroll. You will need to locate them and acquire them yourselves. First up, we're going to go our reactions. So I'm going to pop on Shield and Counterspell. Always have those up and ready to go. Next, we are going to go our movement. So we want Misty Step. That's pretty much it. And then we're going to go our buffs. So we want Protection from Good and Evil. We want Long Strider. And we want mirror image and haste. I do believe that is about it. We did grab fire shield, but we probably won't be using it. I do believe that is it for the buffs that we're going to be using. Now comes the damage. Our 1 level 5 evocation spell, we're going to be using that to freeze a lot of dudes. We're going to be using Wall of Fire. Now, Wall of Fire is a concentration spell. So, generally, this is good to cast before haste. Sorry. Disregard that completely. This is good to cast when you're not using haste, because this will block off a area and cause a large amount of damage. Generally, you're going to want to have haste up over this, but this is a very powerful situational spell. Do have this ready so you can use it when the opportunity arises. Next up, we're going to get Ice Storm. So we have 2 cold, 1 fire. Moving down, we're going to grab Fireball. So that's our 2 fire, 2 ice. And we're going to want to grab Lightning Bolt and Thunder Wave. We're also going to chuck in Burning Hands there. Now, Thunder Wave isn't optional. It comes in very, very handy when enemies are on a cliff or such. You can deal damage and knock them off most of the time. If you don't want to do that, and you want to just go pure damage, you can go Scorching Ray, which is an absolutely amazing spell. It does very large focus damage, or you can go Magic Missile. Entirely up to you, but the situations where I find myself being able to knock multiple enemies off a cliff happens more often than you would think. So I've gone ahead and chosen Thunder Wave. That is our chosen spell list. As you can see, we have multiple different elements going for us, and we can actually chain those. For example, if I wanted to do, let's say, Ice Storm, and then drop a Wall of Fire, that'll create water on the ground, which I can then trigger with my lightning if there is enemies on that. You can change different combos with those elements. Makes things interesting and fun. Obviously, grease is used a lot in this game. You can take advantage of that by using grease grenades as well. Moving over to the gear, which is probably the most important part of this build. Basin, what are you doing with your back to us? Alright. Gear. Gear we want is acquirable relatively late. So I am maybe halfway through Act 3. And this is the gear I've acquired by doing so. I will try to link this gear in the description field, but you can just find where to find this gear on Extra Life or any other wiki you may choose to use. First up, Helm of Baldur. Helmet heals you 2 hit points at the beginning of each turn. Kinda cool, not amazing, kinda cool. Stun immunity cannot be stunned. And you have a +1 bonus to armor class and saving throws. And you can't be critical hit. Absolutely amazing helmet. You kill a dragon to get it. Good stuff. Cloak of the Displacement. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls. This is amazing. So every time you start a fight, you basically get a free blur effect on you. Next, we are doing the agility and armor trick to get a very large amount of armor. We are using Armor of Agility. adds your dexterity modifier to your armor class. Additionally, this armor does not dispose disadvantage on stealth check abilities. Saving throws +2. Stack that with this bad boy. Gloves of Dexterity. Set the wearer's dexterity score to 18, and the enchantment has no effect if the dexterity score is higher without it. +1 to attack. So this allows us to get a very large amount of armor, which is lovely. Next up, we have the Helldusk Boots. You cannot be forcibly moved by a foe's spell or action, and you ignore effects of difficult terrain. This is amazing. You can't be pushed off cliffs and stuff. And in Virtual Invasion, when you fail a saving throw, you may use your reaction to succeed instead. Also very amazing. But the spell we get with it is even better. Teleport to an area and deal 2 to 16 fire damage where you land. The impact blast spreads in a 3-meter zone. This will allow us to teleport to an almost dead enemy. That may, for example, a situation that I've come up with is having an enemy on a top of a roof. They're low, I've damaged them a bit, but I want to get up there and use their spot. I teleport up there, I kill them instantly with this Hellcrawler's teleport, and boom. I now have the prime position that they had. And they're dead. Next up, we have Amulet of Greater Health. Set the wearer Constitution score to 23, which is amazing, and advantage on Constitution saving throws. As you can see, using the Gloves of Dexterity and the Amulet of Greater Health has completely nullified our low ability scores, because we went from 8 to 18 and 8 to 23. Next up, we have Ring of Free Action. You ignore effects of difficult terrain. It cannot be paralyzed or restrained. Now, this pretty much makes us immune to almost all forms of CC. On top of our high willpower, the chances of us getting locked down is incredibly low. This makes us very, very dangerous. And to increase that danger, we are using Killer's Sweetheart. Executioner. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a critical hit. Once spent, this effect refreshes after a long rest. So, once per long rest, you can choose to roll a critical hit after a kill. Now, this can be used with Fireball. This can be used with Ice Storm, Wall of Fire, Rune of Cold. All these AoEs that can spread a critical hit among many, many enemies. You may be seeing this ramping up now. So, as our staff, we just use the incandescent staff, just because it gives us Fireball and Firebolt for free. For our shield, we are using Viconia's Walking Fortress, Rebuke of the Mighty. When a foe hits you with a melee attack, excuse me. When a foe hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction, dealing it 2 to 8 force damage and knock it prone unless they succeed a dex saving throw. Basically, if they attack you, you can knock them down, which is great. Spell Guard. You gain advantage on saving throws against spells. Spell attack rolls against you have disadvantage. Again, making you incredibly difficult to lock down. On top of that, we also get Warding Bond, which we don't really use. We don't use this at all, really. But we do use the Reflective Shield. A protective shield envelops you. It reflects any projectile targeted at you back to their point of origin. Very cool. Very, very cool. And of course we have the AC of 26 without any spell buffs going. And that is pretty much the build. I'm gonna put on all these spells and show you. I think I might need to rest for that one. But as you can see, with haste, we do have the AC of 28. Now we're going to pop this bad boy on. And boom, that brings it up to 37. We're basically untouchable by spells and attacks, while being able to output obscene amounts of damage multiple times a turn. Very cool stuff. Now I'm going to switch over to a combat scene. Feel free to watch that through to the end. But this is basically the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I really appreciate you all for coming through. And if you have made it this far, feel free to like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Bye-bye now. Okay, real quickly, we're going to have a look at the Illithid Powers. Obviously, we get the first Illithid Persuasion power, then move up to Favorable Beginnings. The first attack roll ability check you make against the target gains a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus. Good stuff. Moving up to Luck of the Far Realms. When you make a successful attack roll against a foe, you can change that hit into a critical hit. Very good stuff. Concentrated Blast. You must be concentrating on another spell to cast this. If the target is concentrating, you heal as much as the damage that was dealt to it. This is a very cool additional spell you can get. Next up, we have Psionic Backlash. When an enemy within 9 minutes casts a spell, you can use the reaction to inflict a 1d4 psychic damage to the caster per the spell level. Very cool. That is that.
This was brewed with my barley.
That newcomer Gortash, an archduke.
Oh, you try get fresh tomatoes in the city under siege. You should get cards printed. Why'd you get real art?
Thank you from both of us. That newcomer an archduke.
Wonder if this was brewed with my barley.
Table 14 want their eggs now. Do you trust an archduke? Your Excellency, Your Eminence. pickle tryers ready yet?
Why so much pressure? Some customers know there's
Do